This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast of talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I am Stephen.
I am Rob.
And I am Paul.
Oh, we're all very official this evening. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good evening. And,
hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good morning.
Happy birthday, Rob. It's Rob's birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday to Rob.
You.
We haven't got the rights to that.
Oh.
And Rob, how
Hang on a minute.
how old are you on this very day?
I'm
Steve.
33.
Oh, congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Are you,
Thank you.
Are you serious, Rob?
Yeah.
I could be your daddy.
I'm only like 23 years old.
Promises.
Yeah. It's so frightening how old the rest of us are.
I thought you
Yeah,
meant that Steve's voice was quite frightening because I would concur.
Oh, I'm used to that. That doesn't
Oh,
frighten
fair
me
enough.
anymore.
Fair enough.
I'm Mark's daddy every week, and I'm Mark.
Strangely enough, I do clench a little bit.
Mark holds his pockets.
Before we get started this
Goodbye.
evening, we need to. I've put a little new thing in the show notes that I forgot about. You can help support us by using our Amazon link when you buy anything from Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk. You can head to the link in our show notes and use our store, and you can bookmark that so that whenever you go to Amazon, we get a little bit of a kickback. Doesn't cost you anything extra, but it will mean the world to us. So many thanks for that. I forgot to put that in the show notes. That's how professional I am.
I'll start using that. Jen literally owns the entire planet from buying it on Amazon.
Yeah, we'll do it. Hey, go through the site. There's a or go through the show notes, and if you bookmark it, it's a link to
Or go.
our store.
Or go. We can't do young ones references in here. No one will know what we're talking about.
I just typed or go into my browser.
Okay,
No one ever says my name.
let's do some
Tunch.
let's do some thank yous, and then we'll have a chit chat before we get into some reviews. So, thanks to Katie Stubbs, Mr. Cootsy, Jamie
That's not real.
Matthews, JW, and Oldet Skywalker. That's probably not real, for subscribing to the YouTube channel this week. Thank you very much. And thanks to John Morey, who's my boss, and Jay Winkworth for liking the Facebook page. All the support we're getting is very much appreciated. So thank you for that. Gentlemen, last week's episode,
Never gonna kick you up.
it went down quite well. People seem to enjoy that. Did you all hear it?
Yes.
I
I didn't.
did some cheeky editing.
Okay.
So just, you'll never, that's it, yeah.
No. It was everything we did was in there, but we were joined at the end by Rick Astley as well.
Oh,
I thought in for a penny, in for
Does
a
he
penny,
know?
in for a pound. No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
but I
I know.
dare say Disney will tell him. They'll probably send him a T-shirt with a message printed on it.
this
Has anyone asked you to sing?
It's all a
yet,
bit
Mark?
weird.
No, we've got 2 reviews this week, and neither
Moving
of
on.
them involve singing.
Hoorah.
So reviews, don't forget that you can take advantage of our Ron Burgundy policy, which got us into trouble last week. And that means whatever you write in a 5-star review, I will read verbatim. So if you want to promote something like a podcast or a blog, that's where to do it. The only rule is keep it clean because we are a family show. So we have 2 reviews this week. I'm just trying to find a way to make my window a little bit larger so that I can actually read that writing. There
Hang
we
on,
go.
we're a family show. No one told me.
Yeah, well, that's why I have to beep you all the time. So
You know.
we got a couple of 5-star reviews. Would someone else like to read one of these? Rob, you're the birthday boy. Why don't you take this first 5-star
Yeah.
review?
All right. Let's have a look. So I will see I can just about get these. Yeah. All right, cool. So the first one is from the Supreme Master. Oh, okay. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Started listening to these guys just over a year ago, and I have to say, if you ever want to know anything about Star Wars, go see Jason Ward. Just kidding. He may be listening, so I thought I'd mention it. These guys not only inform, but they entertain as well. Go to their podcast, especially the Toy Box one. I love Lamp.
So there's some insider references there. So
I have that suspicion, yes.
I love lamp.
I think we know who that might be.
Yeah.
Big red candle.
Yeah, thank you for that super fine review, sir. Maybe I'll make you a fancy T-shirt. The next one we got is also 5 stars, simply entitled Awesome, from Cross Vader. So I've been listening to you guys for a few months now, and I must say this is the best Star Wars podcast I've heard yet. Great in-depth discussions and knowledgeable hosts make this podcast not to miss. Keep up the great work and utmost appreciation for all the hours of entertainment you guys provide. Undoubtedly 5 stars. Thank you very much. Very
What
kind.
a nice guy.
High praise indeed. Thank you so
Wow.
much for that. I was cruising some of the other iTunes stores, just checking for reviews this morning, and I saw that we're quite high in some of the most in the charts in some of the most peculiar places, like the British Virgin Islands. We're like number 9 in iTunes there for Star Wars podcasts.
Well, we're all British.
I
And
know.
Can I ask a contentious
man's an
question?
Yes.
Can I ask a contentious? How many Star Wars podcasts are there? Don't say 9.
6.
In the Virgin
Hundreds.
Islands, there are.
Six.
hundreds.
There are.
Like in the
there
Virgin
are
Islands, surely they
literally
get all the podcasts you can
They do,
get.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're not
You would think.
right. So, how many Star Wars podcasts are there in the world?
loads.
On
Hundreds.
Apple.
Hundreds.
Thousands.
Okay, so we're doing quite well then.
In the Virgin Islands, we're doing very well. Yeah.
And is that our highest rating yet? 9.
No, we were number 4 in Ireland.
Hello there, sir.
We were number 2 in Jamaica at one
And
point.
dropping.
Yeah.
And Steve, don't you dare. Don't you do it.
I'm not doing nothing.
Jamaicans.
Number 2 in where? Jamaica? No, sir. She did it of her own volition.
Oh, okay.
And with jokes like that, how can we?
See why
fail?
we're number 4.
Well, that's really good, and thank you to everyone in Kathmandu who hasn't got the
Oh
internet.
no, they hate us there.
Oh, yeah. We're,
Okay.
Yeah, no,
it's
no.
my fault.
We're,
Someone else
we're
said.
blacklisted there.
Avatar fans.
Interestingly enough, and because of our insistence on having the After Dark side, we aren't actually published in the UAE
Because of the,
because of the
explicit tag. Yeah, that makes sense.
Steve.
Oh.
But we're in good company because some of the best Star Wars podcasts are also missing.
This is true.
Yeah, well, they're very strange with their whole laws out there. Chop your hand off, don't they, if you...
Not sure you want to be saying.
Listen to an explicit podcast.
Not sure you
So
want to be
weird if
saying.
you
that.
listen to Talk Star Wars. Right, off with his noogie sausage. That's all right, isn't it?
Sorry?
Goodness me. Let's try
What
and
did
get
you
out.
even say? I didn't even hear what you said.
Let's try and get out of this cleanly so that
Noogie sausage.
I can chop
Noogie
lots of this
okay.
out. Rob,
Isn't that
don't
that's all
encourage
kind
it.
of pink and white
I'm
and
just-
so sugary?
I'm just baffled.
All right, let's
Possibly.
move seamlessly on to listener comms. People will never know what's been said. It's all on the cutting room floor. You can send your questions and comments via Twitter and Facebook, or send us an email with your email question or your voicemail to talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. And this week's first email is from Benjamin Willis, who says, "Hi guys, I just heard your podcast discussion about Revenge of the Sith. Could have been more improved if Anakin had been present when the Jedi came to call. It was timed perfectly. I am currently rereading and making a Revenge of the Sith, and just the other day I got to the point where they were shooting that exact scene. Lo and behold, who was standing at Palpatine's side when Mace and the others arrive but Anakin? I've attached a picture as proof, which is in the show notes. Looking into this a bit further, the original idea was very similar to what you suggested on the podcast, except that Palpatine uses Anakin's lightsaber to defend himself, and apparently you can see that in certain moments of the finished film. So Palpatine was holding Anakin's lightsaber in there. I never noticed that. I'm going to have to look for that. Anyway, it was all changed, and I haven't got to the part of the book where where this is described. But from memory, Lucas felt it would be more dramatic if Anakin arrived mid-showdown. Anyhow, thanks for the great podcast. It's so good to hear English voices talk about Star Wars for a change. As much as I love our American cousins, they can sometimes feel like they're from a galaxy far, far away. Nicely done, Ben. Thank you very much for that. That's good to know. I'd never seen that before.
Interesting, yeah.
Because that image, there's no two ways about it, is there? The
that's
Jedi
right.
would definitely arrive.
It would
Definitely
be
arrive
amazing
when Anakin was there.
if that was a different scene and they were just in the wrong place. And they were just like,
Yeah.
we are here to... hello.
We three kings of Orient.
What that scene actually is them just sort of quietly reverse tiptoeing back down the corridor because they're a little bit early and missed their cue.
Away.
Can you see it, Steve? I know you're strong.
Yeah, I'm looking now.
Okay.
I like the fact that it's tied in nicely and all sewn up with a little button on it.
Yeah. So
All worked out wonderfully, sir.
no, look,
Why is
'cause
he sitting in Picard's chair?
sitting in what chair?
Picard's.
Is it Picard's
I don't-
chair? That's because he wants to make
I don't think
sit.
it is.
Sorry, wrong
It's-
start.
I like the fact that it's all like that, and I had no idea. If you'd have said to me that Anakin walked in halfway through, I would have said no. I'd have said that was from the film, that picture.
Really? Yeah.
But yeah, because I couldn't remember exactly. Other than talking about it last week, before that, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, you got me there. I'll be the same.
So what do we prefer? Do we think George made the right decision here?
Yes.
What did I say last week?
Can't remember. We'd have to ask Ads. But I think this is very, very interesting. But
It is intriguing, though.
just to think that was the way he was going to go with it. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to rewatch the movie now just to...
You say that. I watched it again last week, obviously.
You did?
cool. Okay.
And I think it would have been kind of cool if Anakin had have disposed of Mace.
Yeah, well,
He kind of did.
Yeah, he was the
Yeah,
first.
I guess so.
He was the first thing that fell, wasn't he?
Well, he kind of just stood there and pulled a lot of faces, mostly, didn't he?
What was it on that Samuel Jackson recently said? I'm not dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jedi.
It was a celebration.
His 40th
that was it,
anniversary.
yes.
Thing.
Yeah. Oh, because he did like a live chat thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's not the.
Yeah, he obviously wants back in.
It's not the first time he said that either.
Well, it's a bit like the trouble is people when they come on strong like that, a bit like Ewan McGregor. It sadly never happens like that, does it? It's a bit like our guy for Han. When it's staring him in the face, they don't take it, do they?
No, that's true. That's true.
Anthony Ingruber.
Well, let's hope that they've made the right decision there. But I think with Ewan, I think there are other forces at play.
Oh, see what you did there.
Yeah, well, Bresnikan was saying last year when Rob and I got to speak to him that he felt that Lucasfilm had other things planned for Obi-Wan before they were willing to sit down and do a movie. I wondered whether that was Twin Sons that he was talking about. I don't think Anthony knew at the time what he was talking about. I don't think he was in the loop on that one.
Okay.
But I wonder because he knew that there was something else on the
Going
schedule.
on.
I wonder if it was Twin Sons.
Yeah, quite possibly.
And now that that's
It would
out of
make
the way,
sense.
perhaps they're clear to sort of take a run at a movie. D23 in July, I reckon we'll find out for sure.
Okay.
Okay, we got an email from Paul Corey. Paul, would you like to read this one from Paul? Because you're Paul. See what I did there?
I did. It was
Confused
really-
me. Who's Paul?
Amazing.
Layered. So many layers.
Hey guys, hope all is well. It's been a while. I wanted to send you more of a sidetrack discussion Luke's first lightsaber. We all know Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen play this kind of bad cop, good cop thing. Beru seems always supportive. Luke is not a farmer, Owen. Sorry, Luke is not a farmer and Owen is not. That's what I'm afraid of. Have I read that right?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, didn't seem to come out right. But let's think of a situation where things may have been a little different. What do you think about both Beru and Owen would have thought seeing Luke come home to the farmstead with Anakin's lightsaber clipped to his belt? Would Beru have still been as supportive? Would Uncle Owen have flipped? This is all based, of course, on them not getting crisped up like a McCoy.
Like a mother.
Sorry. Thanks, Marc, Paul, Steve, Paul, Rob, and Paul. Got you all in so nobody felt left out. Paul.
Yeah, definitely.
Somebody may have edited a few extra Pauls in there, I think.
You didn't put a breakdown on it anyway.
All
So what would have happened if he'd have come back with a clip on his belt? That would have been really, really cool shot, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, so if Owen and Beru hadn't have perished and Luke had made it home with that lightsaber, how would that have played out, do we think? This is another one of those sort of infinity type scenarios, isn't it?
Well, it wouldn't have played out very well because Luke's never used it before. He would have lopped off his own limbs and then been a quadriplegic for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because he was inside him. He knew what he was doing.
Oh my!
For crying out loud.
Rob, you're
You
such
can't-
a child.
I know. Well, I'm the youngest one here.
That is true. What do
Even
you
though I got older today. What's your excuses?
Rob, what do you think? How do you think Beru and Owen would have reacted to see that Skywalker lightsaber come through the door?
I've got two answers. One is that the serious answer, which is that Owen would have been really angry, and Beru would have been a little bit more reluctant to stick up for Luke.
Cautious.
Yeah, exactly. My fun answer is that Owen goes, I was afraid of this, draws his own lightsaber. He's actually an Inquisitor. And they have a fight which doesn't last very long because Luke's not trained.
Yeah.
I like
what she
it.
said.
And then Owen flies off with the propeller Inquisitor lightsaber into the distance.
Yeah, exactly.
The worst thing that's happened to Star Wars.
I reckon
What they were after.
Luke could have put the lightsaber in the big jug and made them all a nice blue milk Horlicks at the end of the night.
Isn't it cold heat, though? I don't think you can heat stuff up with it, can you?
Did you just say cold heat?
No, they do it in Phantom Menace. They open the door.
Wait, rewind. Cold heat.
Yeah, that is it. You can get. Have you never had a burn from dry ice?
That's a cold burn. That's not the same as cold. That's not cold heat.
Well, potatoes, tomatoes. Let's call the whole thing off. You're both chucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. On this note, I need to add something. Obviously not at work because that would be wrong. Right. I may have glanced through that special edition after I found it. You know, the one that got taken off YouTube? It's back on. You know, the one where basically they avoid the whole of Phantom Menace right at the end.
Oh, the
supercut.
The supercut, yeah.
And I have to say, when they cut out bits of Phantom Menace, I was actually a bit gutted, but it's actually really well done, isn't it?
Oh, the production on it's really good, but I like all the movies, so for me it would be I'd miss bits.
There are some bits that should have been in it and some bits that should have been taken out. That's the only gripe.
Yeah.
But everyone would have their own cut if that was the case.
That's the trouble.
And Paul's question?
Go on.
Yeah. Let's try and get back to Paul's question.
No. Yeah, but I was thinking about. It made me think that when we were answering this question about what ifs, and that's why I mentioned it.
I think this lightsaber coming through the door to those two, I don't know if it would carry a great deal of weight because they've never seen it, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't know what a lightsaber was.
They wouldn't necessarily. It wouldn't have any meaning.
They've seen Anakin's on his belt, though, haven't they?
Oh, they definitely would have known.
They saw.
If he'd have come through with it on, they'd have gone, "Blimey, Luke, are you happy to see us?"
I think the best way for them to have, if this was going to be a story, the best way to give it any sort of impact at all would be to have Obi-Wan try and give Owen that lightsaber and say, "This is for the boy when he grows up," and have Owen say, "No, keep it away." And then that
no nephew of mine's going to have a night light. Get out of it.
Yeah. It would be sort of that transference of the meaning of that lightsaber is no, keep that away from him because it represents a path we don't want him to take. And then Obi-Wan would then take possession of it, keep it until he passes it to Luke. So that coming through the door then will have huge dramatic heft, wouldn't it? Because we know that Owen said, "No, I'd keep that out of the house." It would be like a kid walking in the house with a loaded firearm, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Why are they so anti Luke and the Force and his future and his destiny?
Vader.
What? Because of Anakin. Last time I saw Anakin, he was going off to kill all the Sand people.
Nobody knows that he did that. They know that we presume, this is a presumption because we don't know for sure, but we presume that Obi-Wan told him while he was there, he turned out to be a wrong un. Called it, told him, warned him several times. Definitely didn't offer to be I was forced to be his apprentice, to have him as an apprentice. I wasn't in favour at all, he says.
No, he wasn't, yeah.
No, there's no witnesses, of course, who are still about, so he can say that. He can get away with it.
I'm not sure he would have said anything, though. Didn't he just drop the baby off and say, off you go?
Yeah, no, I think you would have had to at least phone ahead, wouldn't you?
That is a really good question, actually. And this, what many of the questions we have lead us down other peculiar paths, but that's very interesting. What is that exchange between Obi-Wan and the Lars family when he gets there? Does he just say, "So, excuse me, I think you dropped this," and gives them a baby? I don't think that really plays out, does it?
Oh, do you know what? I could have sworn I left a baby in town.
Yeah. There's no way he would have warned them because that's not the Force way. Luke, Obi-Wan knows as much as everyone else that what will be. This destiny is destiny. You can't change it. And telling people who are non-Force-like that they can perhaps change the Force and change destiny is just stupid. That's not never going to happen.
I don't think that's accurate, Steve, because Yoda's line, "Always in motion is always in motion is the future," because I can say it, apparently.
Really well.
Suggests that you can affect
Yeah, but you
future
can't
events.
keep someone from the Force who's meant to have it, can you?
Why not?
I don't know, because it doesn't fit with what I just said.
At the point when
It's not convenient to my narrative, damn it.
Leah's been hidden from it for years.
Exactly.
She's
Yeah,
still sensitive,
exactly.
you know, so.
Yeah, she's sensitive to it, but at that point, Obi-Wan doesn't know which one he's got. There are two kids. They could both be extremely powerful in the Force, or they could
I
both.
was going to say, I think you can tell which one you've got.
Yeah, no, I know he knows
Biology does
specifics,
that.
but they could have both turned out to be incredibly powerful Jedi. They could have both turned out to be Force muggles, or Leia could have turned out to be the one that was the more powerful. So Obi-Wan doesn't really know what he's got. So does that play into the way he handles it when he gives it to Owen? Does he sort of say, look, you remember that sulky kid that was here a couple of years ago and went and got Shmi's body? Well, this is his kid and he's now dead. Will you look after him? Or does he say, like, you know, that Jedi that was here, well, he's now this uber bad. You got to hide this kid because if he ever comes here, you two are going to get crispied in the doorway. What form does
Very
that
specific warning, they say.
Yeah. What
yeah.
what form does that conversation take? I'm keen to sort of know if he
You're never going to know.
did he give Owen enough information? Is that what Owen's concerned about, or is Owen simply concerned about the Anakin that he met, knowing that he's this sort of?
You're going to hate me, seriously.
Right.
I thought.
Go for it.
I thought Bail Organa dropped him off.
What, in Sith?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why not? He knows how to get in touch and where to send Leia.
No, Obi-Wan. No, Paul's saying he thought Bail dropped off Luke, right? Is that what you're saying, Paul?
No. On screen.
Yeah.
No. It was Ben Minute at the end who rides
Yeah.
up in his little oppie. I would love to know what that exchange was, and I think that's quite important because it needs to frame Owen's reaction to the mention of Obi-Wan in Episode 4. Doesn't it? Is he just fearful that Luke's going to become this violent, petulant, sulky version of the Anakin he met at the homestead? Or is he afraid that he's going to become Darth Vader? Because we don't know what Owen knows at this point, do we?
No, this is true.
So that's one of those really important unanswered questions in Star Wars.
Yeah, he doesn't even talk to Owen. He just gives Luke to
It gives it
Aunt
to
Beru
Beru.
and just strolls away.
He would have
In a very-
preempted it. You don't just drop a baby off. He would have contacted them on Skype or whatever they use over there.
Space Skype.
FaceTime or SpaceTime.
SpaceTime. There you go.
Spacetime.
And said, "Look, I'm dropping a baby off. He'll help you with your moist evaporators in a few years.
Yeah, but be
Don't let
careful
him-
because he's the child of a nutter.
Yeah, don't let him touch anything hot or
Sharp.
cold heat or with cold heat. He will have your limb off.
Which is definitely a thing. Definitely a
Yeah,
thing.
it's definitely a thing.
Have you ever
If he
been in a
starts
freezer?
talking about cold heat,
And
yeah.
then they
20
go, oh, that
20
Ben
years from
Kenobi's
now.
just a crazy old man. He believes in cold heat.
One day you lot are going to say, Stephen knew all about that.
No, we're not.
I'll be long gone because
You're-
I'll have burnt myself to death with cold.
I think you're thinking of cold fusion.
I think you're thinking of cold burns.
And heat.
Paul, as in Corey, thank you ever so much for your question. And thank you for leading us down the typically windy path that we often stumble down.
Well, weren't we direct with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
we apologise for absolutely giving no really good information.
I gave a really funny one.
yeah, I gave a really good one.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be funny, Robert.
No, but it just
It does, actually, it does.
But it is a bonus.
In itself, a quite
Yeah.
humorous statement.
Yeah.
Stephen,
Hello.
would you like to take Dan Solo's question this week?
Give it some cold heat.
I would love to. Shh. All of you. Hi, Paul, Stephen, Rob, and the other guy at Talk Star Wars.
How rude.
I'm Dan Solo at Star Wars Sucker. And my question is about Chirrut îmue, Paul. Quote from Rogue One.
His
The
surname
strong-
just gets in the way, so I don't bother with it.
The strongest stars have hearts of Kyber. Lovely, innit? It was immediately one of my favourite lines from the film. I believe I took it to mean that the brightest stars in the sky had Kyber cores, the Kyber giving them that energy boost to shine brighter. However, I recently read that he was trying to show Jin that he knew about the Death Star and he knew through the Force what her link was and what she was trying to achieve on Jeddah. What are your thoughts on this line? Is it throwaway, or could there be more to it? Perhaps their Kyber is like how carbon and the peoples of that galaxy contain some of the elements from exploded stars, i.e. stardust, some more than others, hence being attuned to the Force. Could this theory clash with midichlorians or complement them? Thanks, and have a great show once again. Cheers, Dan. I have to say, that's a fantastic question.
What?
I don't normally...
I tell you, tonight, there's a couple of them that just blow your mind, don't they? And this is one of them. Goodness me.
Normally, when I read stuff out, I have no idea what I just read, but I actually cogitated and digested and deliberated on that while I read it, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, it was an extremely well-written question. And I think, actually, with your sort of space knowledge, which I'm gonna refer to it as space knowledge.
Space knowledge.
You're the perfect guy to tackle this one first, I think.
Well, the fact that we do all contain, we're all made of stardust, aren't we? We are all star matter. All the elements come from stars. They start off as the lighter elements, helium, hydrogen, and as stars become older and older, they generate different elements. And I love the fact that, if Kyber is from the heart stars and they're older stars, maybe Kyber's rare because it's only from certain stars that are inaccessible, like white dwarfs is after a supernova, and they've crushed down to a really dense, like diamond would need a lot of pressure. Kyber might need the pressure of a white dwarf or even a black hole or something where the light can't escape, and that matter eventually comes off and then becomes the people. Well, I love that. I think it's an awesome idea. What's not to like?
That statement on its own is mind-blowing, Steve. Well done.
So
sir.
you're saying Kyber is everywhere?
No, because it's rare, like Steve said, it's the rare stars that produce it. But we're talking about eons, aren't we? We're talking about a star sort of evolving and then dying, and then when it explodes, reducing everything in its solar system to particulate matter, and then showering that area of space with Kyber. And then when the next star is born, it draws all of that matter together. And so Jeddah would be strong, would be absolutely laced with Kyber, because the star that was there eons before died and showered the system with the remains of its Kyber crystal at its core.
The fact that it's a galaxy far, far away means that it can quite easily be a galaxy far, far older, which means that the accretion disks might have come and gone and come and gone and come and gone. Yeah. And that's Kyber could have accumulated over billions of years.
And I really love the idea that Dan's had here, that matter is working its way into certain people's makeup, and that's what could be the midichlorians. You could kind of see where they could be retconning this now.
It's so much better than midichlorians, isn't it, this idea?
But if that's... I mean, the Jedi have slapped the midichlorian label on this thing, presumably, but what it really is it's the Kyber matter in the makeup of these people.
Yeah.
Because if we're to believe that the Kyber crystals are kind of sentient, then whatever's in the DNA of the Force-sensitive person is the same thing. It's like this sentient matter. I think this is an amazing theory. Amazing. Yeah. Or an amazing idea that's grown out of this question. It's fascinating. Rob, what do you think of this? You've got a gigantic brain. What do you
say that, but Steve's explanation melted it. So
I know.
I'm a little bit... I've
it's like I'm feeling science porn.
I'm feeling the downside of my fewer years on the earth at the moment. Not that I like to bang on about it or anything.
That's spinning something to the positive.
I've seen theories online that people kind of speculate that he's talking about. He basically saying, "I know what you're looking." He's kind of alluding to what Gina's looking for, which is the Death Star plans. Because obviously that she doesn't know yet what they're looking for. Because she hasn't seen Galen's message at this point. Oh, excuse me, I just need to cough. Sorry.
Liar.
Oh, you cough really, really quietly.
I'm muted.
That's a skill.
Absolutely. So I can mute my throat, yeah. It's called shutting up.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Yeah, I've seen theories that it's kind of it's his way of predicting what she's about to find out, because obviously she hasn't seen Galen's message, so she's heard. I think at that point she's heard rumblings of the word planet killer, but she doesn't know what that means in any context. So that's another possibility as well. I do really love this idea that it's kyber dust is actually midichlorians.
I love that idea very much.
Yeah, I do. That would be kind of a bit of a a tread over of what Lucas. That I've always I've been in the sort of evangelist for respect to G.
Yeah, but this does both.
It doesn't though.
It does. It retcons it as well. There's no reason why midichlorians aren't that's the cognitive framework for kyber dust. It's like that's what he meant. Is people have a high midichlorian count because their genetic makeup is more. There's more kyber dust in inverted commas in their genetic makeup than other people, and that's what gives them the high midichlorian count. So it retcons what George did without actually erasing it. It's just
I'm not really feeling it, to be honest, of the explanations. The idea of it being a sort of replacement for a replacement explanation just seems a bit of a it would be a bit too tidy for my liking. I don't know why that is, but that's my feeling on it.
Is it because it's new?
No, I like some new stuff. It's not just get out of my yard kind of.
No. I'm not like suggesting that you're some sort of 33-year-old curmudgeon, but this is because
you wouldn't be wrong,
because you haven't had time to sort of think it over and sort of digest it and allow it to percolate.
No, I just don't gel with it. I think it's ultimately, it just doesn't. I'm just not really feeling it as an explanation more than he knows. He knows that what she's looking for has a relevance to the kyber crystals in a significant way. That's kind of what I mean. It's not so much that, he's. I don't know. He's also got he's also referenced the necklace around her neck, which came from her mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know whether that's also it's kind of a.
Yeah, I think that he's sensing that crystal.
Yeah, but I mean, in that respect, he could be kind of. I don't know. It's hard to articulate what I mean. But he could be kind of alluding to the fact that, she's kind of her mother's daughter, and she's obviously inherited the necklace and sort of taken it with her. So I don't know whether that's also a possibility. Like I say, the one for me is it feels more like he's kind of saying, I think it's, I know what you're looking for, sort of.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, Paul, let's go to you quickly, and then I'll chime in before we move on to Carl's.
It's a tricky one, actually. I don't know. I'm just wondering if he was using it in a much broader sense. I'm just wondering if he was being very, very clever with the fact that yes, it could be her. The whole idea of what kyber is in relation to the Force and the lightsaber and so on. It's the energy force within. So her heart is the energy force within, plus the Death Star is the energy force within, and so on. So I wonder if he's just using it as a very good line in a much broader sense, which allows you to attach a bit of not mysticism to it, but certainly romanticism to it, if that makes sense. I don't know whether it's got any much more sort of subatomic level meaning to it, though.
No, I think I'm with you there, actually, Paul, because that's why in the breakdown I put is this science or is this mysticism. So by that I mean if it's science, then it's Chirrut saying, yes, I know, this is a hint, I know about the Death Star. And if it's mysticism, then it's almost like this is a platitude in a way, because he's sensed the crystal, so he knows that Jin is different. Because I'm sure that not everyone walking around Jeddah has got kyber crystals around their neck, and she is definitely an outlander as well, isn't she? She's not of Jeddah.
No.
So I think it's almost like a platitude, really, that he's sort of saying the strongest stars have hearts of kyber. I don't think he's that's him sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink. The Empire are building a weapon and there's kyber crystals in it. I don't think that's what he's getting at all. So in a way, I think it is kind of a throwaway line. But it's more of a platitude that he's using to push certain buttons within Jin. Chirrut is definitely force sensitive in some way.
Of course,
even though he's not a Jedi and he's not outwardly showing the signs of force use. But I think he definitely knows that Jin's there seeking something, and I think this is his way of making a connection with her. But it's a connection through sensing that crystal, I think. But I don't think he has any knowledge of the Death Star. I certainly hope that's not the case anyway, because it would be much easier for him to say, "Oh, by the way."
Yeah, but he's a bit of a, he's not a direct character, is he? He's always talking in sort of vague.
Yeah, he does speak in vagaries, doesn't he? When he's sort of the force moves strangely, or the force moves darkly around one who's about to kill, isn't it? When he's
exactly. He doesn't just turn around and say he's gone up there to
kill your dad.
Oh, blimey!
Yeah. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe that is the thing that this crazy old monk isn't really being very direct.
What did we say? Did we say it's? Yeah, I don't think, thinking about it, if it is a science thing, that it's more likely to be a neutron star rather than a white dwarf, because most stars become white dwarfs. It's the neutron star that's the rarest, about 3%, and they're the densest of all stars, and so dense that you can't get, you wouldn't be able to get near them without being pulled in. Yeah, right. So I love that idea. I really like it. I think, and the neutron ones are the ones that send out like a really high radioactive beam out of each end.
Oh yes,
and
yeah.
It would wipe out Earth if it hit it, kind of thing.
Yeah, they've been referred to as Death Stars themselves, haven't they? Those things. Yeah, the death ray, particularly, it comes out either side. If it comes your way, you're toast. No amount of ice is going to protect you, even hot ice.
There's another possibility as well, which is that he's kind of tying in his sort of worship of the Force with a kind of more of a proverbial take. So it'd be the strongest stars have hearts of kyber could kind of mean the people who are who burn brightest in this world, or who are I don't know how to explain it, but
burn half as long.
No, kind of, but it's the people who burn sort of brightest within the world, within the universe, are the ones who kind of embrace the Force.
Yeah.
So that they have hearts of kyber, which means they sort of they understand they sort of appreciate the kyber crystals and what they represent and what they're for, rather than just kind of what the Empire's doing, which is just sort of manipulating them for their own ends. What's the word? They're sort of they're using them rather than embracing them as a sort of
Could you inject kyber into your body and become force sensitive?
Who knows? It depends on how thick you make it. If it's too viscous, it might just choke.
It might just kill you.
I
think possibly what you're saying there, Rob, is accurate. That it is almost like a colloquialism. He's saying the strongest stars have hearts of kyber, meaning you may be small, sort of in number, but you're incredibly powerful.
Yeah,
if you are the rarest of things, you can still make a difference.
Yeah, you don't have to be kind of, there doesn't have to be a lot of you in order for you to affect the universe in a significant way. Yeah.
So he could be using that as a way of sort of indicating to Jin that she's significant, even though she feels like she's not. And at that point, she hasn't quite marshaled the courage and the commitment that she requires to become the leader she becomes later in the movie, is she?
No. She hasn't even joined the fight at this point.
No, she's only getting them to Forrest Whitaker at this point, isn't she? She's only getting them to Saw Gerrera, so she's not committed. And even then, she's still, when she has that conversation with Saw, she's willing to just
if you don't look up.
I've done my bit, I'm going.
Yeah, it's not a problem if you don't look up.
Maybe this line from Chirrut is designed to
rouse her,
address that issue within Jin. Maybe feel sort of a non-committal nature, because she's kind of Han at that point, and later she goes on to be Luke, doesn't she? So she,
kind of. That's a good way of putting it.
That's her arc.
Yeah.
Or maybe she starts as Han and becomes more like Leia, actually, because she's more of a military leader than kind of that singular knight. But yeah, maybe that's what this is for him. Maybe it's more designed to tease out Jin's inner hero than it is anything else. Yeah. But I love personally the possibility now that it's the Kyber that is the Kyber when it's in the system is the midichlorians that we've known for years.
For me, I like the line of reasoning, but it feels like an effort to remove stuff. It sort of gradually just kind of remove stuff from the prequel era, which is to me, it's like it's not really. If it's just doing that, then it's not really serving any purpose. We need to
point out that that's us as well. This is all like here. That this is Dan's question. It's not come from anywhere else in canon.
No, sure.
You know, it's just a fan thing at the moment. So
yeah, I like the line of reasoning though.
Yeah, Dan, that's an awesome question. Awesome questions. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we've got something from Kyle. Has everyone had a read?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Is it my turn? Because then we're going to go into Connor's Corner, so Rob gets the big one. Okay, so this is from Kyle, our dear friend at Lightsaber. You guys always do such a good job in answering my questions, which can be easily dismissed as being of the overthinking it variety. So I've got another one in the same vein. What are Vader's motivations in wanting to send the Emperor a clear transmission in Empire Strikes Back? Their subsequent conversation reveals that Vader was playing dumb with regards to Luke's existence, but the opening call reveals that Vader already knew about Luke. If Vader sent a dodgy transmission from the asteroid field, would it tip the Emperor off to him doing something that he shouldn't be doing in a place where he shouldn't be? Or did Vader simply want to provide his master with a good quality broadcast out of respect and/or / fear? So why did Vader need to send Palpatine a clear transmission in The Empire Strikes Back? Paul, let's start with you.
Is it the fact he just wants to send a transmission in the first place? I mean, it's not the best place to send a transmission, is it? We've all got to sit still for 10 minutes. By the way, we're going to be battered as we do so. And guess what? Our main antenna is going to be knocked off the roof.
Yes, love it. Love it. Nice and clean and simple. And just to sort of underline that point as well, I think we've already seen in The Empire Strikes Back that sometimes they don't send correspondence sort of digitally. Captain Needa has to jump on a ship and go to the executor to see Vader to apologise, and then he gets killed. So it could be that someone's taken a message to the ship, to the executor on a shuttle and said, the Emperor's trying to reach Vader and you're not picking up. And then he's like, oh, quick, move, we got to go. I've got to speak to the boss.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Rob, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely that. And I think that, there's obviously a kind of prestige element to it as well, which is if he's kind of wants to stay in the Emperor's good books, he doesn't want to be going to him with a Skype conversation that looks like it's on dial-up internet, because the Emperor's going to be like, he's rubbish.
Yeah, the quality of your call disturbs.
Yeah. Significant issues.
Steve?
I think that Vader either knew somehow they were going to Cloud City and he had all that planned, that he was going to capture Luke because Luke would come and rescue Han. So didn't he want to sort of waste time so that they got away from them?
Yeah, because they do have a significant amount of time to waste, don't they, while Luke is training, because he's training for like 40 days or something.
Yeah. Also, that scene is the worst scene for special effects in history. There's one bit of it. The rest of it's brilliant. But there's one bit of it where, the T section, the bridge section of the Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
A meteor hits one, and instead of like blowing up, it just disappears off the screen. It is the worst special effect.
Steve, 1980.
I don't care.
This is before Tron. And Tron looked like someone just dropped a packet of crowns onto a piece of paper and then made a film out of it.
No.
Fighting talk. I'm going to steer us back to Carl's question and say that I think there's more than a little bit of fear here.
Okay.
I do agree with the other points that have been made that, yes, he shouldn't, he probably doesn't get a signal in there, and someone's had to physically come to the executor to sort of say, "Come out and find the Emperor. He wants to speak to you." But I think the haste and everything is fear. And I'm reading the Darth Maul comic book at the moment, and that guy is literally peeing his pants most of the time out of fear of Palpatino.
But they are able to get a signal to each of the ships inside of the. Like they're talking to each other in holograms, aren't they? And then when that ship does disappear, the bridge, the hologram representing the bloke on that ship disappears as well.
Yeah, he's been hit.
They're outside the asteroid field at that point, aren't they? I think because isn't the ship sort of firing at the rogue asteroids one at a time, and that's when that guy.
Yeah, no, they're all in there. Because that Star Destroyer is next to the Super Star Destroyer at that point when the bridge goes.
Is it inside the asteroid field though?
Yeah, because it gets hit by a bloody great asteroid.
Has someone got the film handy?
I'll find the clip.
Yep.
It's really bad though, and you'll hate Star Wars forever once you've seen this special effect.
No,
unlikely, mate.
And you'll go, "Oh, well,
we all know what you're thinking about." Yeah, but in
Maltese Falcon, right? Hang on.
In the Darth Maul comic book, practically every other page, he's in a monologue. He's gonna kick my head in if I'm not careful because I don't want to get in his bad graces. He's absolutely terrified of Bricktop Palpatino. And I think that's probably true of Vader as well. And this is Vader sort of coming out of Palpatine's shadow as well, because he's just starting to get the first inklings here that he might have a chance to rise up and remove the Emperor and take over himself. If he has Luke with him, there's a chance he might be able to do it.
Found it. What's the scene? Sorry, which one am I looking for?
It's in the asteroid field, and you're looking for the three Star Destroyer commanders on the hologram with Vader. Yeah. We want to know whether or not the Star Destroyers are in the asteroid field or on the outside, on the outskirts of the asteroid field.
At what point? When he gets told he needs to go and
it's around about that, isn't it?
Yeah, in fact, one has actually just been destroyed on the screen in front of me. There's three. He's talking to three holograms, which are all a bit jerky.
Yeah.
And then Piet comes down. This one gets destroyed because the Star Destroyer gets destroyed.
That's the one, Rob. That's the one where the whole section disappears with no evidence that anything's hit it.
Hang on.
Yeah, look at that bit. The asteroid hits, and obviously the asteroid blows up. But with it, instead of the bridge kind of crumbling away, the whole T section.
There's an explosion. There's an explosion. There's an explosion thing.
Yeah, and the whole thing.
Then it cuts to the bridge. Yeah, there's an explosion effect, but you can't, and it masks the T section. But then it goes back. It cuts straight to the bridge, and the guy's hologram vanishes because he's obviously on that ship.
Yeah.
So
if you slow that down like a geek, like I did, you'll see that actually there is no. It doesn't even hit a T section. It just. Right. It's just an asteroid that makes
just an explosion effect. Yeah,
it's really badly done.
So then, at that point, Piet comes down the stairs, and Vader moves the ship out of the asteroid field so that we can send a clear transmission. And the other ones are in the asteroid field as well. Everybody is, and a little mouse droid. Nice.
So they're having holographic communication inside there, but it's a bit weak.
Yeah,
so
it's not as stable
back to Coruscant, are they? No. Cool. Okay. Well, there's the answer, I think. I'm convinced that there's a lot of fear on Vader's part as well. I'm sure that he doesn't want to upset Palpatine so close to his sort of coup d'etat, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. That may just be a characteristic of Maul that I'm transferring over to Vader, but whatever. We've had a quick question on Twitter from Stu Backer at Tales of Geekdom. He's tweeted at us and says, just a quick one, seems to be quite a bit of trash talk about The Force Awakens at the moment. How do you guys feel about the film nearly 16 months on? Stephen, let's start with you, because you're always unpredictable when it comes to these sorts of things. Force Awakens, 16 months on, what are your feelings on the film now?
I haven't changed at all.
You still love it and think it's one of the best things that was ever made. Perfect.
No, I still think it's mediocre. And but when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong, like Baby's dad. I've said this before. Rogue One, awesome film. Force Awakens, it does absolutely nothing. I've given it about 9 watches now, and yeah, there are some bits which are very, very good, but the whole thing is just too contrived for me, and it just shouts that out at every turn. Paul,
What?
So I did there.
Yeah.
I put myself on a slightly different curve to everybody else, didn't I? I made no bones when I came out that I felt a little shortchanged in that I'd just seen the New Hope Part 2 kind of situation. But I've got to be honest, even on first watching, for me, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega were an enormous breath of fresh air to be honest, any movie franchise at the time. So I totally adore looking at those two on screen. She basically just has an ability to sort of delicately, I'm not just going to say light it up because that sounds too romantic, but she's just got a little something. And his timing and his approach to stuff is just nail on head from both sort of accidental comedic element and action element. I just think the guy knocks it. He's great. So I'm really, really, really excited about what those two are going to offer long term. But unfortunately for me, TFA is in a very similar bracket to the prequels. I really, really expected more. Maybe that's not fair to do. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody writes a story, somebody films a story, and you'll either take the story or you will not. And that's probably what happened in my case. We're not obliged to love them, and they're not obliged to produce exactly what we need. But I just felt a little shortchanged, and I still do.
Okay. I don't think there's any. If I can step back in, sorry, I didn't say one thing. Thank you, Paul. I don't think there's any one person that doesn't feel that it was they went for the sensible story, they went for the safe option because it was the right thing to do to get the franchise back on track.
Yeah,
and John Boyega and Daisy Ridley were awesome. I'll go with Paul on that. They were very, very good. But the trouble here's what I equate it to: Force Awakens. It reminds me of the Superman movie because the trailer for it was the most awesome thing I'd ever seen, and we were all in a different universe about that film. And when we watched the film, it was like, oh, actually, the trailer was better than the film. And for me, that's what it felt like. I
don't feel that way. I see your point completely because Man of Steel, I think you're referring to when you say Superman, right? I definitely had that feeling from Man of Steel. I didn't have that feeling from The Force Awakens, but I do think The Force Awakens was made particularly for me, for the sort of fan that I am. It did everything it needed to do. You're right, it was contrived and it was retreading some of the stuff from A New Hope, but that worked for me, and that's what I needed to sort of reset my gauges, ready for a new generation of Star Wars stories. And I couldn't agree with Paul more. I think the chemistry between John Boyega and Daisy Ridley was just off the charts. And I also need to sort of shout out Adam Driver because I just think what he did in that film, not many actors could do that.
Underused, actually.
Yeah,
very underused.
Not many actors can do that, especially since most of it was from behind a mask as well. I think he did spectacular work. Rob?
I mean, to be honest, I'm just saying, to be honest, he's created my favourite character.
Yeah, and
many... I feel pretty terrible that I left him out of my monologue. Right. He's definitely produced my favourite character in a long, long time.
We did catch him as a collective.
I'm seriously intrigued to see what they do with his character.
I think he's going to be compelling.
He's obviously more morose. He wasn't fun. With the other two, they really did. They were the fun element. They were the next bit you're looking forward to, as such. But from characterization, Adam Driver for me is wow. Yeah. Bring it on. That's because I'm a Slytherin and a bad guy generally at heart. So.
Rob, 16 months on, Force Awakens.
It hasn't really changed. I really like it, but I'm kind of with you guys. It's a safe movie in terms of what they've done and what they've put on screen. It's got just the right amount of. I think it probably is about the right amount of nods to A New Hope. Some subtle, some ham-fisted and blatant. But I think it's I think it's a fun movie. I wouldn't ever put it at the top because it's not. It lacks a lot. For me, a lot of the movies kind of bump themselves up the list if they do something a bit different to the others. And obviously that one does the complete opposite of that. It's very, it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say, you guys are right. It's what we needed. It's, it needed to get the hardcore fans on board. I mean, I was going to see it and I was probably going to enjoy it anyway, but they couldn't be too, I don't think they could be too reckless with the movie, because obviously they wanted to make sure that Disney got their money's worth.
You might say that we needed something strong and stable, and it was delivered in a very strong and stable manner so that we can move forward with the franchise in a very strong and stable direction.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was going to say, sorry, Rob. Sorry, Paul.
I'll forget
the
it.
one.
I'll go home, shall I?
No. You're not finished. You finished, Rob. Go on.
No,
I thought you finished.
No, I was done. It's fine. Carry on.
The main thing for me, I think if I could change one thing about that film that would make me feel it was a bit different, the one thing that ruined it more than anything else, not even Han dying, it was that stupid Starkiller base. It was just ridiculous in every way. It was a stupid Death Star ripoff for a start. It absorbed suns that were 1,000,000 times bigger than it, and that just didn't work. Where's all that energy gone? Then it released the energy onto 6 planets that were so close in orbit that they'd be messing up each other's gravity. Everyone would be floating around. It was. I know we pinch of salt with science and physics and that with Star Wars, but it was just ridiculous. Like getting close to a sun just to suck it up. The whole place the atmosphere would have been stripped off in seconds. It was just preposterous, and it was like, oh look, we need a Death Star. We've got to put a Death Star. It's got to be different from the others. Let's suck up a sun.
But
Let's kill 6 planets instead of one.
How do you really feel about it though? How do you really feel about Starkiller?
I loved it.
Okay then. Wow, Stubacker, you got some juices flowing there.
It's his fault. That blooming Stubacker.
We also, before we go to our quick break, let's just Katie threw us a question on Twitter as well.
Okay.
Let's just do a quick roundtable on this one because we're approaching the 1 hour mark. What is your favourite Star Wars soundtrack?
Asteroid Field.
Can't do that to Paul. You can't force him to pick one in a minute.
Binary Sunset and Asteroid Field.
Probably
not
Star
track.
Wars.
The actual sound,
the
actual OST.
Yeah,
even
the original, mate.
All right, I'll take it back. You can.
Oh, okay.
The original.
Rob?
You think of Binary Sunset and TIE Fighter Attack, everything else. It's got to be that.
I'm with you. That is my favourite. Also, it's got the standout crowd pleasers. Who's drinking their water through their microphone?
I'm not drinking it through the microphone. I'm having a nice cup of tea.
I think you are drinking it through your microphone. Rob, what's your favourite?
Jedi, actually.
Really?
I really love all of them, but at the same time, I remember more music when when I call to mind Star Wars music. It tends to be from Jedi. I think unconsciously, I've kind of, without realizing it, it's kind of become my thing.
I don't know if I could call up a track from Jedi. To be fair, possibly.
Oh yes, you could.
Possibly that Mal choir stuff that goes on beyond the Emperor.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wouldn't it? Does anyone? What do you think? Right, if the original trilogy never had John Williams, would they have? All right, would they have been? Take away the music. How much would it change how you love Star Wars?
It would be a huge deal. We can't even speculate on that.
It's all about the music for me.
It's at least half the film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge piece.
But that's not a Star Wars limited question. So.
Steve,
I'll tell you what. Actually, watching when we do the commentaries, when we do the feature comms, it loses something for having to watch it muted.
It does.
Yeah.
We can never
Sorry, Marc, what were you gonna say?
We can never reference the tracks, can we, when we're doing it?
No.
Steve, I was just going to ask you for your favourite. I'm assuming it's Empire because of your love.
It's Empire. It's Asteroid Field and if I had to have two, it would be Asteroid Field and Binary Sunset, but that's A New Hope. So I'm going to go for Asteroid Field.
Interesting, they're all OT choices.
You said a track.
Yeah.
Episode 3's got a fantastic soundtrack as well.
Soundtrack. Not a specific track. Probably.
Yeah, there are some fantastic.
Can I have another one? Across the Stars.
Yeah,
Love that.
that's a great.
That is breathtaking. That is Duel of the Fates. Another great track. And
that's the thing. Each of the prequel films has a really iconic piece you call to mind, but you'd struggle to think of more than say 3 or 4.
I always think, what have I tried to play on the piano? And the first one I picked up was Across the Stars, not even Binary Sunset or Astro.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
It's just a beautiful piano piece.
Gorgeous.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Jedi Steps and Rey's theme for me in The Force Awakens.
You're loopholing the question, Mark.
Why?
Because you're doing this full soundtrack.
Oh no, I've done my soundtrack.
Oh, you've done your soundtracks, and now you're just talking pieces.
A New Hope. Yeah, now I'm just.
If we're just talking individual tracks, I really love the throat singing in episodes 3 and 7.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Explain, Rob. Sorry.
I think it's. I don't know what it's called. It's throat singing. There's a particular name for it.
Tube and throat
singing. Yeah. In Palpatine's teachings, when they're in the opera house watching the show.
Oh yes, I know what you mean.
And Snoke's theme.
Yeah. And it's also Snoke's theme.
I would say Snoke's theme is better of the two.
Yeah,
but that's just my point of view on it, because I think that Snoke one is it changes notes and it's all over the place.
That started the whole Snoke is Plagueis thing, didn't it?
It did. I thought about that the other day actually. I wondered what Pablo Hidalgo's exact words were regarding that, because if Snoke was Plagueis and he'd renounced the Sith, would he still be Plagueis? Would he still be Darth?
Well, Plagueis was his Sith name, presumably.
Yeah,
Darth Plagueis.
My point.
So
I'm wondering. Would it be? So could he still be? I know it's a bit of a weird loophole, but could the statement be true from a certain point of view?
You are loopholing that like our crazy Canadian friends.
I know.
Talking about the that scene with Palpatine watching the space opera thing, and the music, how good it was. It made me think, like, that scene I love. And then I thought, in Total Film, the magazine, you used to have those graphs when they reviewed a film. During the length of the film, it went up and down. And I don't think there's ever been any films that, for me, if I drew the graph, they would the two opposing peaks and troughs would be so far apart, and so many of them. Because there are certain bits in those films that are breathtaking in all the films, but they are marred with utter horse manure.
Well, you're going to get a chance to point these out when we do our audio commentary, Steve. We'll get a chance to point out all these sort of highs and lows, because they are definitely there, and I'll certainly be pointing a few things out that trouble me across the board.
But, the one thing, like Rob was just about to say, I think the one constant that you can always rely on is the music.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Even Giacchino's doing kind of a good job.
Well,
he is. He's doing a great job, considering.
You can't, not necessarily. You can rely on a composer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
that's what I mean.
We've had drops in music,
and even without John Williams, they're all going to be writing in John Williamese, aren't they?
They're all going to be going for those same kind of beats, aren't they?
Well, hopefully there won't be many of them. Hopefully this will pass smoothly to Giacchino and he can carry on.
Anyway, we've agreed too much. What can we argue about? We all agreed.
Let's go to a break so we can marshal our spirits and come back and have a good old fight. Right. We'll go to our break now, and when we come back, we'll have Connor's Corner. We'll be right back. If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, you can do so by becoming a TSW sponsor. For as little as £1 per month, given securely via PayPal, you'll help us keep the lights on here at Talk Star Wars. When you become a TSW sponsor, we will automatically make you a TSW VIP. As a VIP, you'll get access to an exclusive stream of content that provides you with a daily podcast called the TSW Kessel Run, membership to the TSW VIP Facebook group, priority releases of shows such as the TSW Toy Box and TSW Comics. You'll also get priority access to the TSW Feature Com series and weekly Facebook Live and AMA sessions. There are also newsletters and a monthly prize draw. Head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor today, and the Force will be with you always.
And we're back. So as you've just heard, you can become a TSW VIP by going to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and finding out more about how you can become one and what the cool stuff is involved that you get. There was a sentence in there.
Somewhere.
So as is customary, after we hear about that, then we also hear from Connor's Corner featuring Leo. So this time it's actually from Connor, because last week Leo jumped in and deputised admirably. So Connor writes thusly. Good day, gents. I hope that you're all well in good spirits. Well, I hope that everybody's just drank because I just said thusly, so they should be in good spirits if nothing else. Just before we start, last week's question from my son and friend Leo, which I thank you for answering for us. It was a typo. He could ask whatever he wanted. Oh, okay. Yeah, because he said he wasn't. He made it sound like he was sort of...
He can't ask.
Had his wrist held. As I've told him before, there are no stupid Star Wars questions. We all love to speculate on all avenues and possibilities. So after me front-loading this email with my excuse for this week's question, here goes. Let me take you back to episode 2. Sorry, Steve. To the droid factory set piece. 3PO loses his head, R2 flies, yada, yada, yada. Then something interesting happens on the assembly line. Anakin's lightsaber gets chopped in half, leaving him holding the other half. You know the rest. Fight scene in the arena, Anakin gets a green saber for the battle. So those 2 pieces of the saber with a crystal in them, where are they? Are they the original Skywalker saber, which by this stage has murdered dozens of Tusken men, women and children? That crystal has done dark things, and could this be the heart of Kylo's saber, giving it that corrupted effect because it's 2 parts of the same crystal? That's why he wants the other saber so bad it's pure and yet tainted and easier to bleed. I know you've talked about this Anakin saber thing many times, but if crystals are as precious to the Jedi as we're led to believe, episode 2 is signposted at the start of the film when Anakin drops it in the opening chase scene. Then Anakin tells him, this saber is your life. So am I just rambling here, or could this be a possibility? Could there be something here? There's a lot of the same question in there. All right. Let's face it, if they can find Vader's lightsaber on Endor, they could pick one piece of the floor and take the other from his hand, surely. Your friends Connor and Leo. This email was brought to you by Geonosis Contact Builders. No job too small or too big.
Winky face. Don't forget to do the winky face in an announcer voice.
Winky face.
Winky face.
I love this question.
It's awesome.
I love
we
this
never
idea.
realised that his lightsaber's been chopped in 2 before.
No, we have, and we have discussed. We have
on the
discussed-
conveyor belt?
Yeah. We have discussed
He pulls it up and he's got just half the shaft.
And the crystal is right at the very end, though, isn't it? If you wiki it, because I did it earlier.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
There was
Depends on the makeup of the inside of the kit.
Well, but you generally it focuses the technical side of the lightsaber, doesn't it? And makes it stable, so it has to be at the end, and the light is forced through it. And that's what in Wikipedia. I literally was reading it about something else earlier on about kyber crystals, and it was quite interesting that it was saying that then it's focused through the crystal at the end, and the light or the energy comes out the top. So if it's in half, is it not fair to say that the whole crystal is in one half and not fractured?
I'm just having a look.
Depends on how it depends on how it was cut. Let me just see. I'll have to pull up the film again. Hang on. Pull up another film.
It was cut about halfway through. You do see blue sparks coming out of
yes, you do.
Anakin's half, and the Skywalker lightsaber's crystal is halfway down the hilt. Kylo's is right at the end near the emitter.
Okay.
But the Skywalker lightsaber is actually quite high up.
Oh, is it?
It's about halfway up.
I must admit, I was looking at Kylo's. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it?
Here we go. Hang on.
I'm just going to grab that for you, Steve, and I'll pop it into the chat.
To be cha-cha.
Oh, wow. I
So,
just got to the right
okay, what we need is like a flow chart of all the life cycle of each lightsaber, don't we? To see where they went.
Well, you get on that then.
It gets blooming confusing.
Well, this is... We have spoken about this very briefly before. That it's actually got 2 crystals in a Skywalker lightsaber. A primary crystal and a focusing crystal.
There's definitely a bit of crystal in that, I promise you.
Yeah.
It's bright blue when it goes flying off.
Yeah. What, in the piece that comes flying off?
Yeah. They're both blue. They're both blue at the bottom.
I've just loaded a cross section into the chat.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. There's 2 crystals. There's a primary crystal and there's focusing crystals.
He's hit the focusing crystal.
Right. So there's crystal in both halves.
Well, having said that, it's not clear cut where it's cut. It's cut down in half with a blade.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the chopping things at the Geonosian sort of circuit board assembly line. So it could be either, to be honest. It's pretty tight.
Have they at any point in any of the Star Wars filmed ever used the blade length adjusting nozzle to use it to cut something else?
No.
Have you ever seen that used?
No.
Okay. What about the ring tuning flange?
Somebody just wanted to say
here's the thing.
flange. Forge.
Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that anybody has ever made that connection. That's the lightsaber that killed all the Tuskens.
That's what I'm thinking about. That's why I said, have we ever discussed that?
No, I don't think we certainly haven't.
We have definitely discussed on this show the fact that the original Skywalker lightsaber was cut in half.
Yes, no, that much we have done.
Yes, but not that Rob's absolutely right.
We didn't break down the body count, and this is what when I read Connor's email today, this is what blew my hair back, because the thought that would be the crystal that Kylo sought out to put into the hilt
beginning of the end almost.
So why does it turn red? And isn't it cracked his rather than in half though?
Yes,
because even on Wikipedia, it's not. If it was cracked, two halves that had been put back together, that's fine.
Yeah, but look at the picture. Look at the cross section in the chat. If he's got the primary crystal in the Kylo Ren lightsaber and he's bled that might be the piece that was in Anakin's half of the saber after the cut. And the focusing crystals are what went flying with the emitter end of the weapon. So
I see what you mean. So hang on. So when that gets cut in half, he's holding the half with the primary crystal in it, because that's where the handhold is.
Yep.
What does he do? Put it back on his belt? Why is he going to carry around half the light?
We don't see what he does with it.
I think it's reasonable to suggest that Jango Fett would take it. Because he flies in next, doesn't he, and sort of calls him Jedi scum or something. So I would assume that Jango kind of takes it away, and then if the transit of property, it would probably make its way to Dooku after that, because Jango's working for Dooku, so he probably passes it along. Says, "Look, I've got this guy's weapon," so perhaps it ends up in the possession of the Sith. So it could find its way back to Anakin later on.
Or Palpatino.
If it worked, that's what I mean. If it works its way up from Dooku to Palpatino, and then Palpatino, when he says to Anakin after he's turned into Darth Vader, "Oh, look, have this.
I found this, by the way. I assume it's yours."
Do you remember when you did all those sand people?
You didn't.
I did it real nice.
Do you remember what you told me about the sand?
It makes me laugh that there is a blade length adjustment nozzle and a blade power adjustment. Sorry, you'd whack both of those on full, wouldn't you?
Some of the in the legends, they used to have a Jedi who adjusted the length of his blade for tactical advantage.
Yeah, well, you'd just go full length, wouldn't you? Or when they take a swing at you, turn it down quickly, they miss and go off balance, then turn it up and lop their head off.
Turn it up. I love that the Jedi in your world when they start fighting dirty, they turn into East End market traders. Yeah. Tell you what, we got the Sith on our hands.
2 for £1, 2 kyber crystals for £1. Get them while they're hot. They're lovely.
Stars have hearts of them, mate.
You could stand like the other side of the hole, just turn your blade up full and get someone through the heart with it. You would never even have to have a sword fight, would you?
And is there a limit? Why can't you just turn your make your lightsaber go a light?
It would go stupid thin.
Why is that?
I think that's what it is. I think it would just go really, really thin and make it.
Oh, so it's only got a certain amount. It can either have
kind of workable length
or length.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about? Can you have neither?
Paul, welcome back. Yeah, turn it off.
Yeah.
Paul, you back?
Isn't that called marriage?
In body, if not in spirit.
Okay. Well, we're just having this discussion
sounds like he's underwater.
Yeah. Have you got your mic on?
What?
Yeah, it does sound like he's underwater.
It sounds like he's in a waterfall.
Oh. You did filming the shampoo advert at the same time as recording, Paul?
I don't use shampoo.
That's better. We were talking about Anakin's original lightsaber, Paul, and how it got lost in episode 2. And Connor was suggesting that perhaps the crystal found its way to Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
That would explain the damage.
It would, yeah. Steve's found a new emojis.
I like the idea that he's an impetuous Sith or Ren or whatever you want to call him, basically. Yeah. And he's just made it in a hurry, and it's just not working.
I made that. I said that once about that. Yeah,
I said it was. I didn't hear that. That's entirely my theory.
I don't think you're on. I don't think you're on that episode. No, I think you're right. Unfortunately, there is audio evidence of it on the internet, and that's the internet's.
I don't listen to podcasts.
I think looking at Kylo Ren's, the cross section of Kylo Ren's lightsaber, there's definitely a damaged crystal in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would damage it when he was building the lightsaber. I'm pretty much stoked about the idea of him damaging it while he's bleeding it, though. That's
bleeding crystals.
That's where I come.
I like the idea of him bleeding it. Breaking it as he's building his Jedi saber.
Mm.
So maybe he used to have a blue or a green cross-scarred lightsaber to make up for that. To make up for it.
I mean, it's all feasible, isn't it? He loves Anakin. He loves Darth Vader. He covets all their stuff. He's going to be going for anything, even if it's broken. That's why he's chosen a broken blade rather than have a nice fresh one, because it is his granddad's.
Well,
matches the broken helmet.
But that it makes sense that he'd rather have a broken one. Actually, the cracked ones actually emit more power. That's what the side beams are for, isn't it?
It's venting, isn't it, for exhaust?
Yeah, because there's so much power because they're releasing it through the crack.
It's not focusing properly, I would imagine.
No. But yeah, because his saber doesn't seem to be as good. Like when you see a clean saber, for want of a better word, they cut through anything super quick. But when he's bashing away at his control panel, it's not really going through it, is it? It's like glancing off.
No, you're right. Yeah, it's not as kind of. It's still, and this is probably why Finn. They'll probably use that as why Finn survived, having a, slashing on his back.
Yeah. No, I like it, Connor. I love what you're thinking.
Totally.
I really like it. I really like this idea. I love the possibility.
I can't believe I've never made that connection.
It would be
I'd tip my hat. If I was wearing a hat, I'd tip it.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out. I mean,
maybe I'll get a hat.
Vader's red-bladed lightsaber has to come from somewhere, and this is about to be covered in the new Darth Vader comic that starts. I think it comes out this month, at some point this month, and we're told that one of the early issues is going to be looking at how he came into possession of that red-bladed lightsaber, and the hilt is exactly the same as the Skywalker lightsaber. It's just got some black sort of detailing on it.
Okay.
So maybe, like we were talking about the transit property earlier, maybe Django takes the hilt from Anakin on Geonosis, passes it to Dooku, who passes it to Palpatine, and Palpatine puts it in his bedside table, looks at it every night before he goes to sleep, thinking one day I will pass this back. And then when he flips Anakin and turns him into Darth Vader, obviously his lightsaber less, because Obi-Wan nicked it when he kidnapped his children. Why is it?
I think he nicked more than that.
Obi-Wan's and he's took some limbs.
Did you see him picking it up on?
Yes, yeah, you do.
Yeah. On what's it called?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So Vader has no lightsaber when he becomes Darth Vader. So maybe that's when Palpatine says, "This is your crystal from Geonosis. Build yourself a new weapon." And that's when he goes through the ceremony of building a new weapon, bleeding that crystal, and Bosch, you've got Darth Vader's lightsaber could possibly be the first Skywalker lightsaber.
It would make sense.
That has travelled and met him, when he's first become Darth Vader.
On his journey, yeah.
Yeah, because it's the one that has all the Tusken lives. The little notches on its belt are all Tusken lives. So that's one possibility, Connor, as well. I like the idea that Kylo, it could still be Kylo's, but I like the idea that that's the path that these Skywalker crystals are taken. Fantastic. Really great question.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Connor. Right.
Awesome.
Guys, you got anything you want to add to that before we move on?
No,
I'm good.
To Star Wars news. Okay, let's move into some Star Wars news then. We're going to start with something related to Star Wars comic books. Hasbro did no, I'm not going to talk about TSW comics because that would just be rude. Hasbro are releasing next spring. They're releasing a range of 3 3/4 inch. I think they're more than 5 points of articulation action figures, but they're releasing them on the old vintage cards. And I think the first one that's coming out is Rey. So there's a vintage card that's got the Force Awakens on it, and it looks like the first wave of action figures from way back in the day. And Hasbro also asked for fans to vote for a character that they'd like to see turned into an action figure. And Dr. Aphra from the comic books won. So she's going to be a 3 3/4 inch vintage carded action figure at next spring. Dr. Aphra, for those who aren't familiar, she's kind of like a Lady Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe. Does it get any cooler than that? No. She's awesome. She's got her own comic book series at the moment. She was in Vader Down. Yesterday, the first issue of a new series called The Screaming Citadel launched, and it's her and Luke Skywalker together. So this character's brilliant. I'm not surprised she's a fan favourite, although I am surprised that she beat out Ahsoka Tano.
That is surprising. For
this figure. It goes to show how popular Dr. Aphra is.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's pretty cool. You're looking her up, people.
Awesome.
Yeah, she looks a bit sort of Dash Rendar kind of situation.
Yeah, I can see
it's
that.
a really cool design. She's got wicked smart tattoos on one arm and that flying helmet and everything. And she's Asian as well, which is really nice. Sort of a nice, diverse cast of characters in this new.
Was Jyn Erso mildly modelled on her a little bit?
I don't think so. I think that she might be. Well, she's certainly sort of present in the universe at the same time. Aphra.
Just wondering if a little bit of inspiration came about, especially when I look at an image like this.
Are you putting it in the chat?
Yeah, something like that. That's got a little bit of a Jyn Erso situation going on.
It's just another one of these. She's fantastic. That's sort of the iconic Aphra image at the moment. This is off of issue number 1 of the comic book, I believe.
Okay.
It's just continuing the trend now of Lucasfilm passing out really strong. I see what you're saying when you put those two images next to each other. Actually, Paul, I see it completely. Lucasfilm just doubling down and investing in the strong female characters, and now it's carrying her through to the connective tissue storytelling as well.
I might have to investigate these.
They're worth a look, Paul. The comic books are absolutely
it's like my cup of tea, seriously.
Yeah, the issue. Even if you just pick up issue 1. Who's hoovering?
Who's made a blend?
That's a hairdryer.
Oh, right.
Next door.
That ain't mine.
Even if you pick up issue number 1, just read issue number 1. You'll know then if it's going to be something that you enjoy, Paul. And I think you can get into it from issue 1 as well. You probably don't have to go through the Vader Down arc because she snakes through.
She's in Vader, isn't she? As well.
Is she in Vader as well?
I could have sworn
I've
read a comic with her in, and I haven't read Vader Down yet.
All right, okay. Maybe she's definitely in Vader Down as well. But yeah, she may just be in regular.
I have read Vader Down. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not disputing that she's in Vader Down. What I mean is, I think she turns up in the normal Vader first.
Yeah,
as well,
I'm sure
I've read something with her in.
Yeah,
maybe not as a front and center character.
If I do, I can't imagine I'm going to be buying many of these 3 3/4 inch figures because I am a bit partial to the Black Series. But I'm definitely going to get Aphra because I think that's such a novel idea to have this character come out of the comic books and end up in figure form. So I'm all in for that. So that's the first piece of news. So there's something that popped up here from The Force Awakens a couple of days ago on Slash Film. Christopher Nolan's involvement with The Force Awakens. So there's someone that we're pretty much all a big fan of, right? Christopher Nolan.
I love him.
Damn straight.
So he has been lending his personal collection of IMAX lenses to filmmakers, and he lent a lens to The Force Awakens.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is a passage that I took from the LA Times. IMAX cameras can present unique challenges for directors. Particular lenses are difficult to come by, and directors have gone to extremes to procure them, sometimes retrofitting existing parts, which Tarantino had to do for, I think, The Hateful Eight. Nolan has been known to mail lenses from his personal collection to fellow directors to use on movies including Star Wars The Force Awakens and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. There was only one scene in The Force Awakens that used IMAX cinematography, and that was the Falcon escape.
Right.
But there was some location shooting that they had to do. They had to do IMAX cinematography for out in the desert, and they also did it back at Bad Robot when they put Rey, or Daisy Ridley, as Rey in a gimbal on a roof. I think they had, and so that they could shoot in sunlight. So it was just the Falcon Escape that was shot in IMAX, and they were shot with Nolan's lenses. So that guy is becoming a real legend. So if we move on to Rogue One, a Star Wars story news, there's another Christopher Nolan here. It's Christopher Patrick Nolan, who played a rebel trooper in the Darth Vader scene at the end of Rogue One. And he said he used Jaws as a reference when making the scene. Did you guys see this week, this little thing that he said?
I read it earlier.
It's awesome.
It's interesting.
In rehearsal, this is from Christopher Patrick Nolan. In rehearsal, Gareth explained the scene to me, how Vader had no dialogue and how it connected to A New Hope and what he was hoping to achieve. He spoke about the energy and fear he wanted to capture in the scene and how pivotal it was to the whole Star Wars story. I referenced the fear of the swimmers in the movie Jaws, and Gareth agreed that their reactions helped sell the danger of the shark, and I should use that for Vader. So that's an awesome. I love the idea that was the motivation behind Vader, because it's such an iconic sort of character, that shark in Jaws, lending its weight to another iconic character like Vader, and that sort of menace that he had when he's ploughing his way through that corridor was just quite staggering. Okay, there was something also that I saw this week that Gareth Edwards was the rebel troop that launched the Tantive as well. He had a shave that day, and he was the guy that pulled that lever at the end of that scene.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move into some spoilery stuff now. So this is Last Jedi news. So there's potential spoilers in here. Of course, most of this stuff is rumour. But if you're a little bit gun shy, then you might want to steer clear. It's also the same goes for the Han Solo bits that we've got to cover this week. All right, so Last Jedi is getting some native IMAX scenes. So I wonder if Christopher Nolan will be lending his lenses.
His lenses for this one.
Yeah. So there was a site, and I forget which one it was, and I neglected to put the link into the show notes, so my apologies. I think it was Star Wars Newsnet. They broke down which scenes in the trailers pop open to IMAX when played native on IMAX screens. And they are certain beauty passes of Arc 2.
Okay.
Rey training with the lightsaber pops open to IMAX. The crate action scene where they drop down and crack the surface and the red dust comes out.
Yeah.
Luke watches as the school burns in the flashback. And the space battle as well that we see. All of those elements of the trailer pop open to IMAX.
Do we know that's a flashback?
That scene was from, well, we're assuming, we don't know for certain, but that scene certainly looks like it's from Rey's Force vision as Luke
Could have been flash forward.
It could be.
Yeah, we spoke about that, didn't we, last week?
Well, this part was the school burning, so I'm not sure about flash forward.
See,
we talked about Phasma being possibly a flash forward or flashback.
Yeah, and also the Knights of Ren we discussed a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? That might have been a flash forward, but we sort of settled on the fact that was absolutely ridiculous, and in fact, it was a flashback. Some of this stuff is significant, especially this Rey training scene, because when you're shooting IMAX, you tend to shoot everything in a sequence in IMAX, even if it's a cutaway. Because you don't want to do is you don't want to pop the frame open and then go back down to 235:1 aspect ratio and then pop the frame open again to IMAX and then back to widescreen. That's the mistake that Michael Bay made with Transformers. I think it was Revenge of the Fallen. So you almost had some sort of fit, a seizure, watching this frame change size in front of your eyes. Mm-hmm. So with something like the Rey training with the lightsaber, because that's shot in IMAX, native IMAX, I would suggest that that's part of a much bigger sequence within the film, potentially like a training montage.
Okay. Because
of the investment in that larger format, would suggest to me that they're going to build a segment around it. Much like the Falcon escape from Jakku was a big sequence, lots of flying through those downed Star Destroyers. I imagine this is more than just one scene of Rey training with a lightsaber. I think there's going to be a lot of training, like a training sequence, like Luke on Dagobah with Yoda.
Right.
So how do you guys feel about that? A long training montage?
No.
Because even when you say montage now, it has cheesy connotations, doesn't it? Like that, yeah.
Well, it depends if they do it in the normal montage way. If it's done without music and with speech, and it's kind of scene after scene as she's improving, then okay, it's nice. It's a nice way to show a period of time passing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But if they, I don't know, I'm not sure if it would work in Star Wars with even a bit of nice music. What happened with Luke when he was training? There was no montage, was there?
There's no, just cut from scene to scene as he was running through. It sort of changed camera angle a few times.
Yep, he did the running and jumping over logs,
the
climbing
rocks.
over the vines, handstands, levitating things with his mind, and then when he sort of stopped for a breather, that was the thing where they were at the Force tree.
Yeah, Yoda was a backpack while he ran. Other ones are there, yeah.
And the rocks up in the air, yeah. When it ended with him like raising the that is why you failed thing.
So do you think this shot of Rey on the cliff face could just be a wide angle shot of her training, but that's cut in with a scene of Luke sort of trying to teach her the forms and trying to get her to control her anger and control, because we've seen what she's like when she unleashes her anger at the end of The Force Awakens.
I don't think that'll even be in the film.
What, the training with the lightsaber?
No, not that particular shot of it. No, I think that's a very quick.
Yeah, good call.
It's a trailer shot. That I think misdirection.
I really think that's dangerous for that to even be a possibility. I think is really.
Yeah, but look what they did with TFA, man.
Yeah, I know, but they can't keep doing that.
Well, they did it with Rogue One.
They did it with Rogue One.
You'll still put bums on seats.
Yeah, but you're going to start to burn goodwill. Like, people are going to start to lose patience if every time they watch a trailer, they're watching the trailer effectively for another film. Because when 40% of that trailer from Rogue One didn't even make the feature.
I'm not saying it. Yeah, but I'm not saying they won't do the training on the top of that cliff. It's just that in order to not burn so much of the film up in trailers, and people say, "Oh, I've already seen the film and all the bleeding trailers." You know, I don't like that sometimes, where you feel like you know half the film and you've dissected and cogitated and you know exactly what goes on. Maybe it will be the lightsaber battle with a different camera angle. But while they were up there filming a certain other thing, they said, "Oh, let's quickly take a shot of Rey swinging a saber around," because it didn't look particularly good or choreographed what she was doing, did it? Even from that long distance.
Oh, I think it looked good. I think that you see a lot of very unusual moves in there. Not like the.
I watched it. I thought it
like
looked
the spinny stuff.
Okay.
She does a lot of, not like the, like the Ewan McGregor twirly bits and pieces that he does in The Phantom Menace. None of that's present. She's got her forms are a lot like Palpatine's, with lots of really stabby kind of.
That's no accident.
Stupid faces.
Perpendicular sort of jabs. She doesn't pull the stupid faces. She's got an awesome face all the time, but it's a very different fighting style she seems to have.
Maybe there's just lots of mosquitoes in there.
Is that what it is? She's just like rent to kill.
Maybe she's killing all those Jedi birds.
The porgs.
Luke's having a go at her. I said you could eat one.
Rob, what do you think about her fighting style?
Are you talking about in Force Awakens?
Yeah, and what you can see in that trailer,
yeah,
you can kind of see the forms that she's using in there.
I think it comes back to what we were talking about before, where she's going to be learning control and precision, whereas before she was just kind of swinging wildly because she didn't really know what she was doing. So I think it's interesting that I don't think Luke was ever taught the forms. No. I don't know if that's true or not.
No.
With a certain point of view.
He sort of questioned, does the Force control your actions? And Obi-Wan says partially.
It also obeys your commands. My impressions are off today. I do apologise. Must be my age. Maybe you hit 33 and it's just gone. If you're not already making money.
You're doing yourself a disservice, so that last one was very, very good.
Oh, well.
33.
Don't marvel at his age. Okay, so that's the IMAX scenes in The Last Jedi. All right, we were just talking about toys a little while ago. Some toy listings have revealed some interesting bits of information this week. you guys may have seen this. There was a TIE fighter, in inverted commas, which is reportedly Kylo Ren's starship. Did you see this thing? It was the Hot Wheels set.
No.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a
I've
miniature.
seen the TIE fighter, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? With like the little TIE
Oh yes, I
interceptor
did see
wings.
it. Yes,
It reminded me of something else. What did it remind me of?
Well, there's people have been saying it looks like the TIE interceptor from Return of the Jedi,
That's probably what I'm thinking of.
and a little bit like
Striker.
Vader's TIE is a TIE Advanced, isn't it? And
Yeah.
there's the Sith is it the Infiltrator or the Interceptor? The Infiltrator, I think, in Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
Has
Infiltrator.
that
Yeah.
kind of style, sort of elongated ship with those bendy wings. So it
also reminds me of the ships. You know when Dooku's running at the end of episode 2?
Yeah, but the shield ship.
The shield ships
Okay.
that break off and then go behind
the bit.
them.
Yeah, but the bit that comes in underneath the sort of shroud. Once the shroud sort of folds it back in.
Yes.
Mm.
A little bit like that.
It's a very cool looking thing, and I find it very strange that we're getting a look into this movie through toys. It seems to be an odd oversight. You'd have thought they'd learnt this lesson by now, wouldn't you? Like leaking plot points in
some
soundtracks.
people-
It does get people talking, doesn't it? They also want to keep the momentum going before the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a little interesting that I remember a certain Mr. Lucas being openly lambasted for many, many moons over toys over product for a little while, and yet the first thing we're getting is toy glimpses again.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
only because we're now. I don't think that would have been necessarily the case in the if Star Wars had come out. Well, maybe not Star Wars, because obviously Star Wars was an unknown quantity. But Empire, if Empire had come out this year, it would be exactly the same thing.
What do you mean? What would have been the same thing, Rob? Sorry.
The sort of the fascination and the nitpicking into the toy stuff. We'd be doing exactly the same thing with Empire if Empire came out this year, because that's just the way that's just the way the information age has kind of shaped how we consume pop culture, especially when there's an air of mystery about stuff.
Yeah, and we will go looking. We'll turn every stone to find the least little thing, won't we? As fans now that we've got this Star Wars thing under a microscope, and we will find whatever we can to talk about, especially when you got a podcast. But it wasn't just Kylo Ren's ship that's coming out in like this multi-pack that caught attention this week. It's that there's a list of action figures as well. So these were detailed on your Facebook page, Rob, on the Toy Box Facebook group.
Yeah.
Marc posted this.
Mm-hmm.
So code names for characters called Cool Beta, Foxtrot, which has since been revealed to be Rey.
Okay.
Victor 2 with Throne, Victor, and BL Guards of Evil 4-pack, which I had to laugh because
who is Evil 4-pack?
Yeah. Things sound a lot less evil when they come in a 4-pack, unless you're right, unless that's somebody's name, Evil 4-pack. A bit like Good Tupac.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Victor
4-pack
with
the Hutt.
Throne. This is the thing that's really... the guards are probably the Protean guards, which we've heard about, are Snoke's guards.
Yeah.
There are reportedly 8 of them, so we think that there might be a 4-pack.
Well, we saw images of those with Mark Hamill, didn't we?
Possibly, yes.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
Because he's Snoke, by the way.
And then, spoilers. Foxtrot we know is Rey. She's been referenced as Foxtrot elsewhere, apparently. But Victor with Throne and Victor.
That seems like Snoke to me.
A lot of people are saying that that's Snoke, and I think that's probably right.
Yeah. They're all just international phonetic alphabets, aren't they? Is it phonetic alphabets? International, the call signs for the it's the international phonetic alphabet. Foxtrot, Victor, Beta. Beta.
Yes, yeah.
Cool Beta is not, but then I wonder if that's
Alpha, Beta.
Yeah, but I mean, Finn's not an alpha, so it could be Finn.
Yeah, true.
Cool Finn, some sort of outfit he wears, or Poe.
That's a really good point you've just made.
They're just code names, you know.
Yeah.
For exactly this reason, because we don't want to be, you know, we don't want to be spoiled. You know, if it was like being in prison outfit, it's like, right, well, he's going to either go to prison or be infiltrating one.
Yes,
we know this.
So now we've got the whole Blue Harvest thing going over to toys.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly that, isn't it? It's just putting as much of a mask on these things as possible.
Yeah.
So Victor with Throne doesn't necessarily have to be Snoke, does it?
It could be a crime lord character if they encounter the sort of scum and villainy kind of.
Well, they're going to Canto
elements.
Bight, which seems to be quite kind of a wealthy sort of place.
Yeah.
So maybe they encounter some royalty there. I wondered if Victor and Victor 2, because before you pointed out that this is the phonetic alphabet, I was wondering whether or not Victor might have stood for the victors of the piece, and this film might end with the dark side getting the upper hand, like second parts usually do, and maybe they are the victors, and it's Kylo and Snoke, Victor and Victor 2. But no, I think you're right. It doesn't necessarily need to mean anything, does it? If it's a phonetic alphabet,
yeah, it could just be, you know, shrouding.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, you just ruined everything, Rob, but with your impenetrable reason. All right, last piece of news from The Last Jedi then. Benicio del Toro could well be playing a character called Gannis Duquesne in The Last Jedi. Do you recognise that name, guys?
No,
I do.
I was going to say, who's that chap?
Steve?
No, nothing at all.
No? Rob?
There's nothing.
Do you want to explain where that fits in?
Duquesne is one of the people that's listed when Han Solo is talking about the Falcon being stolen.
Oh.
So, and in fact, he's the first name. Who had it? Duquesne? Yeah, who had it? Duquesne?
In Force Awakens.
No, Unkar Plutt. It's like, Jakku?
Ah.
Yeah.
Junkyard?
He actually added the rotating gun.
Yes.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah.
So it goes from Duquesne to the Irving boys to Unkar Plutt, and then it goes back to Han Solo.
Yeah.
So this could be a guy. Now, I did speculate earlier this week. I can't remember if I did it in a written piece or if I did it on the Kessel Run, but my suggestion was that perhaps Duquesne had something to do with getting Rey to Jakku. And that's why it was the Falcon that got her from A to B, and the Falcon was left on Jakku. But then kind of it's overlooking the Irving boys there, so I really don't know if that holds much water. But I do like the idea that this character might have already been seeded in the Force Awakens. And if he is like a resource for the Resistance, then that explains why he might be the reason Finn and Rose go on their mission to try and find him.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
let me just think. How is the? I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head at the moment. I'm trying to think how you'd pronounce it, because the letter G, I think, sounds a bit like J in French. I don't know if that's relevant to anything. If it's just like the DJ thing was actually it was actually a sound alike. I don't know.
Yeah, it may not have to mean anything.
Yeah,
it could maybe he is a DJ and he's spinning his decks on Canto Bight. Unlikely. All right, let's move on to Han Solo, a Star Wars story news. Could Han Solo be heading back to Tatooine? An aerial photograph of the Future Ventura set or location made its way into press this week. So, will the smuggler be returning to Tatooine, possibly to encounter Jabba the Hutt in a new movie? Can you see the image there?
Yeah, I'm trying to make some stuff out in it. I can't really.
That's Future Ventura, yeah?
That's Future Ventura, yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
I've been there too. It's a lovely place. Does it have to be Tatooine?
No.
No. Be Jakku.
Can anyone make any of those buildings out?
We've got Jakku, we've got Jeddah.
He knows Jakku's a junkyard.
Yeah, this
Must have been.
These look like they might. That big circular thing looks like it might be a ship.
No, it's not. It's a bar.
Do you think?
Diner.
Oh yeah, no, it could be, couldn't it? Oh yeah, look in the background. If you look, there's a little car, kind of giving it some scale.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's actually huge, isn't it?
Could be.
Could these just be
structure.
sets laid out rather than a predefined village layout or
Could be.
Could have just laid stuff out, couldn't they?
The photo is actual size, and it's just someone dropped some stuff.
Nuts and bolts.
Yeah, just a bunch of pocket junk
It's Kylo's saber in pieces.
Well, those roundy hut things look very reminiscent of the entrance to Lars' place.
Yeah, the homestead.
Yes. Although, albeit a little bit too big, but similar. I think there's a good chance it's Tatooine. It makes sense, doesn't it? Either that or it's Jakku.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like the idea of it being Jakku and that he might have had business there before. I don't really want him to tangle with the Hutts just yet.
No.
I'd rather that be another movie, potentially. But there are...
The tail end of this one, maybe.
Could be Jeddah.
Could be Jeddah.
It could be yet another desert planet that they're going to introduce. If it's an outer rim world.
Yeah. I quite like the idea of them crossing paths with the Hutt because there's a lot of history there that we don't know about.
Yeah, if they throw it away in this film, then great. If it's like, well, we're going to do a job for this guy, and then we meet Jabba, they set Jabba up for another movie, and you know that there's going to be some bad blood, but I don't want them to spend all of those resources up front on one movie, because there's a lot they can do with Han Solo, and if they want to do sequels, which there's no indication they will just yet. I
have to say, I'm not. This film is doing nothing for me at this stage. Not saying it won't. Nothing about it is making me excited.
No,
I'm very keen, but I don't want it to be another trilogy. I want this to be open and closed.
Yeah, but and also
it could work like the Indiana Jones films, though, Paul, where they could be,
where they shouldn't have made anything beyond.
They're standalone.
Yeah, they work on their own, but they kind of still link together in more than just a superficial way.
Yeah.
And
I think what's doing it for me is the fact that it's Han and he's not Harrison Ford. I think that's a big hurdle to get over for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the old curmudgeon, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I
dare say we'll see some stuff at D23. We might see some production photographs of Alden in costume, because once you start to see that stuff, I think it's going to make or break
it might start to,
because when
wet your whistle.
You know Harrison Ford's going to have a very weird cameo somewhere in the film.
Oh, I hope not.
No,
that would turn too many heads. No.
He'll be wearing a mask or something similar, but it'll be that tune.
A fedora.
Harrison Ford is far too moody to do that.
No, he's not.
I finally warmed down.
He is. He's a visual git.
Okay. Look at Harrison Ford, Jimmy Kimmel, Steve, and you'll see a slightly different.
He's definitely cheered up a lot since
he kept crashing planes.
Yeah.
You start to look on the bright side when you make all 4 lives
on my head.
That does wonderful things for you. That does repeated near-death experiences.
Yeah, what are the odds?
Rob, do you want to see us return to Tatooine?
No, it makes the galaxy feel small.
I
come back to that point a lot on that one at the moment, but it really does just make the galaxy feel tiny. The more we come back to the old planets over and over again.
Yeah.
We can do that stuff, but just we need to also be really kind of moving away from those places as well as much as possible, because let's say the smaller the galaxy feels, the harder it is to imagine what's going on outside it. That makes outside what's on screen, rather, not obviously outside the galaxy, because there's probably not much on there. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when we saw these some production photographs sort of snuck out earlier. Katie in the VIP group posted a link. We were looking at them, weren't we? There's an illustration of Alden as Han in a very Bespin style costume, and lots of stormtroopers. And I was really hoping that this might be something where the stormtroopers were more in the background, that the Empire was more in the background, and we were going to be more focused on what Han was doing. I'm not sure I want to see him tangle with the Empire too much. Unless they're going to preserve his origin story of he was.
Well, let's just say you want to avoid any Imperial entanglements.
Well played. We are not going to do. We're not going to do any better than that tonight. So let's just wrap this up and quit while we're ahead. First class, Stephen.
I thank you.
I thought you were having your drop the mic moment then.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Expensive.
Paul, you were going to make a point there.
But why bother?
No. We know he quotes that line, so we know he's familiar with the situation with Imperial whatever. So it's going to happen, and I want it to.
Yeah. Okay.
I really want it to. I want the hats. I want everything. Bring it all. Bespin. I want the Falcon to be lost and won in about 15 poker games. I want the whole works.
You just want Star Wars sprayed all over this thing.
Yeah.
And why the hell not?
Yeah. But I want it to be a blast, and I want 2.5, 3 hours, and then I don't want to worry about a part 2. Use him again in another film, but let's not carry this on. Let's just move on.
Indeed. Okay, right. Unless anyone else has got any other business, I think we're good to wrap up this week because that was the last thing we had. It's been a very quiet week for Star Wars news this week. Not a great deal has happened, really. But as always, next week. Well, Rob, you're not going to be with us next week, are you? Because you're away.
I am indeed. I'm on holiday. I get one of those.
Last year.
No, I did not. I think I missed one show last year, maybe 2.
So selfish, Rob.
I know. What am I like?
Believe it. That means you two gentlemen have got to bring your A games next week.
Yeah, best of luck, guys. Best of British.
I only really have a D game.
Yeah. Oh, mud.
I don't even know what their euphemism is there, but okay.
Something to do with D. Okay, we're going to wrap this thing up. So thank you for listening to Talk Star Wars again this week. And don't forget you can leave us a 5-star review in iTunes and take advantage of our Ron Burgundy guarantee. Whatever you write in a 5-star review, I'll read as long as it's clean. So if you want to promote your own blog or podcast, that is the place to do it. You can email us your questions and comments at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. That's talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on one of our many social channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, which I've started using this week to name but a few. But that said, gentlemen, where can people find you between shows?
You can find me on Twitter, Stephen_Ware, or on Twitter or YouTube at Wild About Nature.
You find me at moviescorenews.com.
You can find me on Twitter at RobWadeVision. You can also find me on Instagram there as well. And you can find the other blog that I contribute to at emotionally14.com. Steve, did I just hear correctly that you have a second Twitter for Wild About Nature?
No, but I always
get
confused about Twitter and whether I'm actually Stephen_Ware or Wild About Nature.
Does it say Wild About Nature on your name?
That's his name in it, yeah.
Because you can be found by that as well. That's fine.
Yes, it's kind of, that's why I say both.
That's where he gets confused, yeah.
You can find
I go both ways.
And so we've heard. You can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk and on Twitter I am at talkstarwars. Stay tuned for a little promo for the Commonwealth shows, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Talk Star Wars is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Find us at starwarscommonwealth.com alongside
the Tumbling Saber Podcast,
the Generation X-Wing Podcast,
the TSW Roundtable,
the Skyhoppers Podcast,
and the Nerd Room Podcast.
Head to starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world.
It's a wrap!
It's a wrap.
Let's talk about Loot Crate. Are you on a quest for epic gear, housewares and collectibles? Loot Crate offers an epic range of pop culture items for less than $20 per month. Whether you're shopping for the geek in your life or you are that geek, Loot Crate is the best surprise you know is coming. Every month there's a different theme and new and exclusive items that you can only get with Loot Crate. Treat yourself every month or give the gift of geeking out to a friend or a loved one. You have until the 19th at 9 PM Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cut-off happens, that's it, it's over. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/TalkStarWars and enter the code TalkStarWars and save $3 off your new subscription today.